Welcome. Settle in, as if you've stepped into a quiet kitchen after hours. When the day has finished speaking. Tonight, we'll follow a calm, unhurried story. The science of coffee, from bin to brew. There's nothing to solve. Nothing to remember perfectly. Just a gentle sequence of small, practical ideas, arranged like a tidy row of cups. We'll move slowly through 4 simple chapters. Where coffee begins. How the beans are prepared. What roasting changes. And how grinding and brewing shape what you taste. If you drift off partway through, that's completely fine. The story will keep its calm pace, and you can rejoin it wherever you happen to be. Now, very gently, let's begin at the beginning. Coffee begins as a plant. Not as a flavor. Not as a habit. Not as a morning ritual. Just a living thing. Growing patiently in places with the right balance of warmth, rain, and shade. If you ever see a coffee plant, the first surprise is how ordinary it looks. Glossy green leaves. Small white blossoms. They can smell faintly like jasmine. And then, the fruit. Because a coffee bin is not a bin in the botanical sense. It's a seed. And it lives inside a fruit often called a coffee cherry. Imagine that cherry for a moment. Usually red when ripe. Sometimes yellow, depending on the variety. Inside, there's sweet pulp. And within that, typically 2 seeds pressed face to face. Those seeds are what become the coffee you recognize. 2 names come up often in coffee: Arabica and Robusta. It's easiest to treat them as 2 broad families, each with its own tendencies. Arabica is often described as more delicate in flavor, with a wider range of aromas. Robusta is often described as sturdier, with a bolder, more direct character. Those are only generalities, of course, but they help as a first map. From a science point of view, what matters is that flavor begins long before roasting. The variety of the plant, the soil and rainfall, the altitude and temperature. All of these shape what the seed stores as it grows. It's a slow accumulation. Like a library being stocked one quiet book at a time. There's also a calm practicality to coffee farming that's easy to miss. Coffee doesn't ripen all at once. On the same branch, you might find unripe cherries, ripe cherries, and flowers preparing for the next cycle. So harvesting is often selective, done in passes, with attention and patience. Not a single dramatic moment, but a repeated, careful routine. And then, once those ripe cherries are gathered, the next question arrives quietly. How do you turn a fruit into a stable seed? Something you can store, ship, roast, and brew. That's where processing begins. Coffee processing is, in a simple sense, the art of removing layers. First the skin and fruit, then the sticky, sugary layer beneath, until you are left with the seed, clean enough to dry, and stable enough to keep. Two common approaches are often described as washed and natural. In a washed process, the fruit is removed fairly soon after harvest. The seeds are then soaked or held in water, so the remaining sticky layer loosens and can be rinsed away. In a natural process, the cherries are dried more like fruit would dry in the sun, with the seeds still inside for much of that time. Even without going into technical detail, you can sense the difference. Washed processing often creates flavors people describe as clearer, cleaner, more directly tied to the bin itself. Natural processing often creates flavors people describe as fruitier, rounder, sometimes a little wilder. Not better or worse, just different paths through the same landscape. There's a quiet bit of biology here, too. Because whenever fruit and sugars are present, tiny organisms are interested. Yeasts and bacteria exist on surfaces all around us, and they can begin to break down sugars. This is fermentation in its simplest sense. A slow transformation, guided by time, temperature, and environment. In coffee, fermentation is not usually the headline. It's more like a gentle supporting character. It can help remove that sticky layer, and it can subtly shape flavor by changing what remains on the seed and how the seed surface develops. It's a reminder that coffee is not just an industrial product. It's a biological material that has been carefully handled. After processing comes drying. And drying is about calm stability. Too much moisture, and the beans won't store well. Too little, too quickly, and the beans can become brittle and uneven. So producers aim for a steady approach, turning and resting the beans as they slowly reach the right balance. At this stage, the beans are called green coffee. They look pale, slightly bluish-green, and they smell faintly grassy, or a little like dried peas. It's not the aroma most people think of as coffee yet. That familiar scent arrives later, with heat, and the calm, transformative work of roasting. Roasting is where coffee becomes aromatic. It's the point in the story where a quiet, stable seed begins to release something more expressive. And it happens for one simple reason. Heat encourages change. Imagine a small roastery at night. The gentle rotation of a drum. The soft, dry sound of beans tumbling against metal. Roasting is carefully managed warmth, applied over time, so that the bin changes from the outside in. A lot of flavor development can be understood as a few calm ideas. One is that water inside the bin turns to steam and expands. That expansion alters the bean's structure, creating tiny pockets and pathways. Another is browning, the same family of changes that makes toast smell comforting and gives roasted nuts their warmth. These reactions create new aroma compounds, as if a cupboard has been opened after a long time. People often talk about roast levels: light, medium, dark. It can help to think of roast level as a question. How far is the transformation taken? A lighter roast often keeps more of the bean's original character, including brighter, fruit-like notes. A darker roast often leans into deeper, toastier, more caramel-like flavors. And in between, there are many calm choices, each with its own balance. Roasting is also a story of timing. Not in a stressful way, in a craft way. Roasters pay attention to how quickly the bean warms, how evenly it changes, and how the scent shifts as the roast develops. It is patient observation, repeated day after day, until the senses learn the pattern. Once roasted, the beans need a little time to rest. They release gases gradually, and their aroma settles into a more stable form. And then, when you're ready to brew, the next calm choice appears: how finely to grind. Because grinding controls how water meets coffee, and how flavor is gently carried into a cup. Grinding is a quiet kind of geometry. When you grind coffee, you increase its surface area. And surface area is simply the amount of coffee that water can touch. A calm way to picture it is to imagine stones on a shore. Large pebbles have less total surface area than the same amount of stone crushed into sand. Water can move around sand differently, reaching more tiny edges and corners. Coffee works in a similar way. Finer grinds allow water to meet more coffee more quickly. Coarser grinds slow that meeting down. Now, brewing. Brewing is often described with the word extraction. It sounds technical, but the idea is gentle. Water moves through coffee and carries certain soluble compounds with it. Some compounds dissolve readily, arriving early in the brew. Others take more time, arriving later. This is why time matters. This is why grind size matters. And this is why water temperature can matter, too. But none of it needs to become a project. You can think of these variables as quiet dials on an old radio. A slight turn changes the sound, and then you simply listen. Different brewing methods are different ways of arranging contact between water and coffee. Some methods let water pass through quickly. Others steep coffee and water together, like a slow conversation. Some use paper filters that catch oils and fine particles, creating a cup that feels lighter and clearer. Others use metal filters that allow more oils through, creating a cup that feels fuller. And then there is aroma, which is half the experience. Much of what we call taste is actually smell, carried upward as warm vapor. That's why coffee can feel comforting even before the first sip. It arrives first as a scent, and only then as a flavor. If you ever prefer coffee without caffeine, the same story still holds. The bean is still grown, processed, and roasted with care. The cup can still carry aroma, texture, and warmth. And now, with the story in place, we can let it soften into a calm recap. Let's gather the main ideas gently, as if we're putting things back on the shelf. Nothing new, just the calm shape of what we've already seen. Coffee begins as a plant, a glossy-leaved tree that grows cherries. And inside each cherry are the seeds that we call beans. Plant, cherry, seed. Then comes processing, removing the fruit, washing or drying, letting time and careful handling guide the bean towards stability. Processing is the quiet work of preparing something natural for travel and storage. Then roasting. Warmth, steadily applied. Changing structure. Deepening color. And creating aroma. Roasting is where coffee becomes recognizably coffee, especially in the air. Then grinding. Changing surface area. Changing how quickly water can meet the coffee. And finally, brewing. Water and time. Carrying soluble flavors into a cup. Plant. Processing. Roasting. Grinding. Brewing. A calm sequence. And if you like, you can let that sequence fade into the background now. Like a familiar clock ticking gently in another room. Now we can slow down even more. There's nothing else you need from this story tonight. It can simply be a quiet soundtrack while you rest. You might picture that calm kitchen again. The lights low. The air still. And on a counter, a small bowl of beans. Waiting patiently, as they always do. Coffee begins as a plant. A cherry. A seed. Then, quietly, the careful steps. Processing. Roasting. Grinding. Brewing. And you don't have to hold any of it in mind. You can let the details loosen. Let the story become softer and softer. Just a gentle sequence. Like footsteps fading down a quiet corridor. If you notice your thoughts wandering, that's all right. You can return to one simple idea. Warmth. Time. And a calm breath, arriving on its own. Good night.